On May 2nd, get ready to escape. Isis, Escape from Transylvania. The goddess next door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and e-readers May 2nd. I have a question for all you comic fans out there. Do you want to be John Diggle or do you want to be John Haynes? And there's a big difference between a John Diggle and a John Haynes. And that difference is who is the one in control. Now, when it comes down to John Diggle on the CW's Arrow, your John Diggle is codenamed Spartan, but for a while he was the Green Arrow. However, in both cases, he was a hero on Oliver Queen's terms. And because he was a hero on Oliver Queen's terms, he did everything Oliver Queen told him to do and never thought for himself. And when he was offered the mantle of the Green Arrow, the hood of the Green Arrow, it was based on him coming from a position of submission. So he was being the Green Arrow from the position of a servant, someone taking over for his boss because his boss was overwhelmed. In contrast, John Haynes is a character who is the CEO of Morris Phillips. And as he takes on Lucifer and his legion, he is the man who rules the world. And because he is the man who rules the world, that is not just a title given to him in a story called The Man Who Rules the World. He is the man who rules the world because he understands that in order for him to rule the world, he has to control himself. And that at the end of the day, he is the one who is in charge of himself, he is the one in control of himself, and he is the one who, at the end of the day, he is responsible to. And because he understands that he is the one who controls his world and shapes his own destiny, he is the one who is in charge at the end of the day. So your John Haynes is a man who is in charge of himself and sets a course for himself from minute one, whereas your John Diggle is a guy who is told what to do by Oliver Queen and has to live by Oliver Queen's terms. Your John Haynes, in contrast, is a man who lives by his own terms and does things on his own way, and the only person he answers to is the living God himself. So, as I see it in the bigger picture of things, John Haynes has more power than your John Diggle, even though your John Diggle is seen on television every day. Your John Diggle submits to Oliver Queen and is told what to do, whereas your John Haynes, he's an independent character, but he's the one with more power and more control overall. And as a creator, I would rather be John Haynes than John Diggle because your John Haynes knows who he is, knows what he's about, and he lives his life on his own terms and not on the terms of someone else. And when a black man reads a John Haynes story, he learns a different frame of thinking, a frame of thinking that will teach him that in order to be the man who rules the world, you have to be the one in complete control of yourself, and you have to be the one who is secure enough in yourself to go for what you want, do what you need to do, and be the leader that God made you to be. That's why I believe when you pick up a book like Temptation of John Haynes, of the Man Who Rules the World, it's a very positive thing for a black man to pick up because he's learning how to be a leader like John Haynes and not a follower like John Diggle. If you want to pick up The Temptation of John Haynes, of the Man Who Rules the World, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. It's a great book, and in addition to you learning about the start of the SJS Direct universe, you'll learn some great lessons about masculinity and manhood. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.